Chapter 11.
The Federation of Super-Earth.
Aboard McCat's SES, Sword of the People. Commander Rod snatched McCat's datapad and started reading it.
Then freedom fell from heaven and burned up the large beasts and the scavenger serpents and consumed them. And I alone have extracted to tell you, I have seen the light of liberty make ashes of our enemies. Is that from the Bible?
Then his buddy Badger said,
That sounds good, but I actually read that in Goopy's voice.
Then freedom fell from heaven and burned up the large beasts and the scavenger servants and consumed them. And I alone have extracted to tell you, I have seen the light of liberty make ashes of our enemies.
McCat took back his datapad and continued his daily reading of one chapter, trying not to think about the biblical accuracy of the voice. Hades, feeling more like a mailman than a Helldiver, was finishing the mission to retrieve the basic AI program and was sending it out. He decided to check his own mail and found he had a message from Death's lover. He thumbprinted it and received the usual salutations audio file.
You son of a bitch!
The letter was about Space Cadet Angel's training. The message was long and covered almost 2.5 days. Over the course of her missions to raise her difficulty allowance, Pandora learned that Hades and Death's lover had been childhood friends on Super Earth that joined up together. Death had been the first to thaw out with a new ship, and after checking once didn't bother to look for Hades, knowing he would find him. McCat had been frozen since the First Galactic War, and didn't bother talking about his past, or with call signs. McCat's rank 35 squad specialist was reassigned to Marshal McCat. His overwhelming ammo mindset and Chief Death's unending ammo tactics made them quick comrades during the dark hours of Malevelon Creek, especially once McCat learned that the Lady Liberty faith was still active in Helldivers like Death's Lover and Hades. Hades had been dropped into combat on the second battle for Angel's Venture, same as Not. Apparently Hades never wears a helmet, says,
It's a distraction.
an interesting fact since Death's lover never takes off his helmet. When Not first met Hades, he was completely out of ammo for his MG-43 machine gun, LAS-5 scythe, and GP-31 grenade pistol. First thing he said to Not was,
I need 3 more clips of 5.56, 8 grenades, and an extra battery.
Not was originally a native of Angel's Venture, so they stayed until the planet was liberated, also to earn the titles Avengers of Angel's Venture. A popular trend at the time, since the title of Creek Crawler was given to those that fought at Malevelon Creek. Not is not sure when, but at some point Raven saved their lives from over 250 meters away, and just ended up being welcome to stay. So he did. Raven had been running solo stealth missions, but realized that he could only do so much alone. He tried to find someone else that favored stealth to team up with, and had 3 comrades die before he joined as a supplemental to the squad. According to Knot, each member of the squad didn't just have their own fighting style, they also have different fighting mentalities and methodologies that reflect their weapon choice and usage, making their weapons a part of their identities as living weapons. Raven fights ice cold, so his shots never miss. Death is laser focused and runs hot. Hades fights numb to the destruction and deaf to the explosions he creates. Not said, Hades sounds like he's drunk when he's sober, and sober when he's drunk, because power is his real addiction. Macat is impatient to the point he'll do things himself, viewing his turrets like subordinates. Pandura asked,
What is your fighting style not?
he replied, shapeless and formless, like the oblivion I send my enemies unto. But my personality is like ravens and macats. We're knights in sour armor. In fact, all of us are members of the Lady of Liberty faith because we're all hollow in some way. Pandura asked.
How so?
Not answered. Hades understands that life isn't fair, but the Reaper doesn't discriminate. Even the eldritch monsters and the ancient titans fell according to the old stories. I think that is his last hope, that somehow, some way, there's something fair about our lives or after our lives end. Makes having your name on a wall that will exist as long as mankind exists appealing. I think that is why many warriors of the ancient ways became poets. Their lives needed to be like a jinsei poem, a form of haiku. Simplicity and brevity, with focus on the imminent, immediate, and inevitability of death, accepting life's impermanence, because if they couldn't achieve the honor of death in battle, they could at least make what they learned staying alive seem beautiful. Pandura wondered.
Can't life and death be both?
Not looked her in the eyes. Do you believe in destiny? Because I know for a fact that time is on a closed loop. You have transfinite choices and chances to change nothing. She countered.
Even if that is true, that doesn't make anything you do meaningless.
Not was silent for a moment. That's a pretty good point, Cadet. Feel free to promote yourself. Hades finished reading the long letter. He handed it to Macat for reading, but was surprised when a moment later he didn't hear the insulting greeting. Instead, he heard music.